Hiji Kujiki is the term of the day, or the technique of the day. We're going to look at what some would call a shorty arm bar, kind of an initial setup, but wrenching the elbow or straining the elbow from a traditional attack, and then show how the attack is actually finished with a pin, and how that is very effective and very uncomfortable in traditional jiu-jitsu rolling. So let's take a look at a few different techniques right now. So let's first look at a traditional technique from Daito Ryu Aikijujutsu. This is a half-seated, half-standing technique, an attack from the rear. The opponent approaches and grabs my collar. I step off, strike, reach over the top, and this is familiar to most people. This is kind of a shorty arm bar. But as my opponent goes down, I'm going to follow with a pin by placing my hand on the mat, which causes excruciating pain. She can't roll out from here, obviously, but this is a tap. So we'll look at that one more time. This traditional technique. I don't know the attack that's coming. I'm striking to get my opponent off balance. I reach over and I'm pulling this elbow in. I could finish here. She could roll if she feels the pain enough, but the pin traditionally is to continue until the opponent is face down, pressing the shoulder. I like to go to the mat because I can extend a little further. And of course, my posture, I'm completely in control. Hypothetical in nature, who attacks you this way nowadays? Obviously common questions, but the validity of the technique and how we can employ it with, a more modern day match is very simple, actually. And we're going to take a look at a few examples right now. So let's look at a simple butterfly sweep, or the setup for a butterfly sweep. Obviously, I'd like to have the underhook. I'd like to control my opponent's post, but she knows what's coming. If she can't stop it, then we're going to get the sweep. If she can't stop it, she'll base out or make some move. But to look at the technique that I just did from behind, she had my collar and I struck and I came over the top for this movement. Well, here, just by getting the underhook, I'm already in this position. So I may attempt this sweep, but she might break free and post, which is fine for the way I'm going to finish based off of the other technique. I don't need to look for a wonderful setup, the perfect setup for omoplata or a kimura. I'm simply going to make my hand reach towards the mat here. I'm going to make a little bit of space. Hand goes to the mat. She's tapping already. And I'm being light with that pressure, but this is pretty quick. So one more look. Standard setup. She posts out over there. I'm going to push straight to the mat. And if she can roll right here, that's fine. I have my setups for Jujikatami or whatever. But the shoulder being straight, or the arm being straight rather, and not focusing on a bend, but just pushing, pretty excruciating. And again, if they roll out, you're in an advantageous position, a quick arm bar potential. But one other would be from doing a simple shorty from full guard, right? So she's reached up high, she can't get her arm back. I post off to the side. Now we normally finish here. I can make this tighter in many different ways, but if she tries to push into me to stop, I can do the same thing. I can base and start to put my hand towards the mat. But the fact that she can't pull her arm out and I'm stretching the arm here, it's not so much on the elbow as the initial setup, but more in the pin. What's the other option if she can get her arm out? If she gets her arm out here, I have her back. So, it's not a good setup for her to try to bail. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. So one more look at the butterfly. I want the underhook because that's how my hand comes over. I attempt to sweep, she posts. I just push my hand to the mat. From a guard, little shorty setup. I'm missing this, she tries to dive back in. I start posting. If she pulls her arm out, obviously we just switch positions. But two techniques from a very old school methodology of pinning that are very practical today. That's all I've got to say about that. Give Amber the opportunity. She's actually never tried this technique. This one's new to her, even though it's so common sense. I just don't see people doing this. So she reaches in, go ahead and do the butterfly sweep. I can post. All she needs to do is base out like a technical stand-up. Yes. Don't realize how tight your shoulders are until this stretch is put on you. Go ahead and do that again. So you see how easy it was that I know this is coming. I may even be able to post on my elbow, but as you base out, I'm not in a good spot, even when I try to escape, and that is super tight. Even if I'm passing and I go for a headlock for some weird reason, obviously I want the underhook, but if I'm missing it, she can still base. And if I try to pull my arm out, I can't wheel it around her head. So I think it's beneficial in two ways. You're going to get the tap or they're going to roll, and then you have a superior position. And again, if I try to pull out, if I feel it coming and I pull my arm across, she has my back. I've given up any dominant position. So
when we normally do the shorty, I'm pulling back so it's a different angle.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that it's strength, like you can overpower, but changing this direction, I'm using my body. So I feel stronger.
Yeah, and all you do is rise to make my arm come into a more of a vertical position. Yeah.
And so instead of fighting strength to pull this back and to get in, just changing.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah, and especially if I dive in, right? The two options are you start to do the shorty, and I pull away, which could usually makes it worse for me. So if I want to stop it, I'll try to dive in a little deeper. But if you can beat me and do a technical stand up here.
I wanted to keep that hook.
Yeah.
Was that the wrong thing?
Not when my arm is stuck out, but I still think a superior position is for you to get the higher ground.
Okay.
So if you feel that you've missed this, Now, the only thing that's different, you're still trying the elbow.
Oh, I know. I went traditional.
Well, the elbow is the first part of the technique. It gets me off guard. But you really want to be as close to me as possible. Now when you're hitting, that's it.
So you're taking the hand, like towards the shoulder.
Yeah, and palming
here.
The ground right close to the face.
The face
push
first.
the face. Yeah. But the shorty's still there, so go ahead and try the shorty as you would.
This?
Yeah, your normal shorty armbar from here. Yeah, when I come in, this is where you bail and put your hand right on the, and of course if I happen to roll, you already see a quick submission. So, anyway, hope it makes sense. Give it a shot.